There's an expression that every man has two lives, and that a man's second life begins when he realizes that he only has one life. There are millions of men right now living in a state of paralysis, procrastinating. They have ideas, they have dreams, they have goals, but they are holding back, and they are waiting for the right moment. They are waiting for the perfect circumstances to appear in order to start their passions and their projects and change their life. And my friends, life doesn't work that way. There aren't going to be perfect circumstances. There's never going to be a situation where everything comes together and everything aligns and the moment is perfect and there's no stresses and there's nothing to worry about. That isn't life. Most of the people who made significant change in the world started when they were not ready. Started when people told them that it wouldn't be possible. Started when their finances were in a bad way, when their headspace was in a bad way. But they started ultimately because they knew that starting was necessary. They knew that if they kept thinking and planning and strategizing and waiting for a better moment to appear, that they could risk the idea crumbling, falling to pieces, being forgotten about, or indeed somebody else taking their idea and having their success. That is what the most successful people in the world have done. They had an idea and they didn't sit on it for too long. They took action. As I said, there are millions of men out there right now who have great ideas, who have aspirations and goals, and they want to change their lives. But they're too scared. They're living in a state of paralysis, fearing failure, fearing what other people might say, fearing looking stupid. And I'd say they're fearing the wrong thing. Because there are also millions of men who, if they could, grab you by the shoulders and shake you and tell you to take action, they would, because those are the men who didn't take action. Those are the men who went an entire lifetime doing this, an entire lifetime of pushing off what they needed to get done, saying that now isn't the right moment to start that business. It's not the right moment. I'm going to wait until things are a bit calmer. I'm going to wait until 6 months' time when I have a little bit more capital. And they did that for decades. Decades and decades. And they got so far with those excuses that at one point or another, it was too late. And if they could grab you and shake you today, they would. And they would beg you to take action because they didn't. And they know the pain that comes from having regrets and being able to look back at your life and saying, wow, there are so many things that I wished that I would have done. So many boxes that I left unticked. And for them, it is too late. But for you, you're watching this video right now. You already know what happens if you keep doing what you're doing. Nothing changes. If nothing changes, nothing changes. You have an advantage. You have time. You can see very clearly the mistakes of your ancestors. You can see very clearly the mistakes that those sad men with loads of regrets made, that you don't have to make. Yes, you might embarrass yourself. Yes, you might fail. But you're not going anywhere if you keep doing what you're doing right now. And I say it's better to risk embarrassment or risk making a couple of mistakes trying to do something incredible than just sitting preserving your energy. You might as well be sat in the corner of a room. We'll just put a blanket around you and we'll just let you sit there. Live a nice, comfortable life in the corner. But that's no life. And that's no life for an ambitious man. You've got to be prepared to fail. You've got to be prepared to embarrass yourself. Because nobody who ever did anything substantial or significant in our world didn't put themselves in that position. People that built big companies, people that built huge corporations, athletes, The people that are on bedroom wall posters, they put themselves in the firing line. They put themselves in a position to be embarrassed and be laughed at. And it paid off. And I say to you, look, the business plan that you're thinking about right now, the content that you're thinking about making right now, it might not be an immediate success. It might not be the one thing that you do in your life that brings you the most success. But I encourage you to start, because what happens when you start taking action and you start implementing your goals and you start actually pulling the trigger is that your ability to do so gets easier each time. Every single time that you take action, you strengthen those discipline muscles. You strengthen your ability to exert, your ability to just do. You fire and you fire and you fire and you fire, and it hurts less every time when you fail. It hurts less every time when something doesn't go the way that you had anticipated it to go, because you are producing more. When you spend so much time thinking about doing one thing, let's say, for example, you want to create content online and you've thought about it for a year. You've built it up to such a high level of importance, and you have so much pressure and so much emotion. And when you launch that first video and you get barely any views or barely any likes, it really hurts. But on the flip side, there's a guy who didn't wait as long. He didn't put as much pressure on himself. He cared, he held it in high regard, but he understood that volume and consistency are very important things. So he didn't have the camera or the fancy lighting or the equipment or the studio, but he had volume and he had consistency. And because of that, those two guys, they did the same thing, but they got very different results. Now, it doesn't have to be in content creation. We can be talking about the gym. We can be talking about sports. We can be talking about your business. Put this example into your life and whatever it is you're thinking about doing. The guys who take action and embrace failure, who take risks and put themselves in the firing line, they're the guys that are more likely to be successful. They're the guys that are more likely to achieve the things that they want out of life, because they're putting themselves in the firing line way more times than the average person. They're building their resistance, they're building their discipline muscles, and they're building themselves. And after a while, you stop caring what people may or may not think, what people say or may not say, and you just focus on you. You just focus on who you are now and who you were yesterday. And as long as you're getting better, that's the most important thing. But look, guys, I wanted to make this video today to tell you, if there's something that you want to do, you've only got one life. You're not getting another one. This is your moment. This is your opportunity. If not now, when? As I say, there are millions of men that would love to grab you by the shoulders and shake you and say, do it, son. Just start. And you've had your warning. You've had your message. And you can go away and watch another video like this from a different YouTuber who says it in a slightly different way, get some more dopamine, get some more energy. Ultimately, it's not going to do anything. The only thing that's going to change anything is implementation and action. But this is the opportunity. This is the moment. No more waiting, no more procrastination, no more getting ready to get ready. No more pondering, just action. And you're going to build your resilience, you're going to build your discipline muscles, and you're going to increase your output and subsequently increase your chances of having that life that you want and becoming the man that you want to be by building something meaningful and special. But that doesn't start and that doesn't come to fruition unless you start taking action. Anyway, guys, I hope you took some value from this video today. If you did, make sure to smash the like button, comment your thoughts down below, and subscribe to my channel for much more of the same from me. As always, guys, thank you, and I will see you in the next one.